Biden's weakness on the world stage continues. The Chinese state media is slamming the Biden administration, saying the current U.S. government is the most incapable and degenerate in the country's history. The U.S. national strength has greatly lost its relative advantage. So the cards of trade and human rights Washington plays to counter China have almost no effect at all. All right, here to talk about it more is former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, my former colleague. John, thank you for joining me on Kudlow.
You bet. Good to see you.
So, John, I just want to get your take on that statement from China, as bold and bullish as it is, what they must think of America.
Yeah, well, Sean, I know you agree with me that we're all foreseeing more of a Joe Biden who will stand and fight as opposed to one that will run, retreat, and surrender as he did in Afghanistan. But in this particular case, by torpedoing our policy of strategic ambiguity, he ultimately gave China exactly what they wanted, because when he came out and said, we absolutely will defend Taiwan, and the White House, in response to what you said, China saying that the administration is incompetent and degenerate, I believe, the White House walked that back and ultimately it gave China exactly what they wanted. If the policy was we will fight and defend Taiwan, why would you need to walk that policy back? So ultimately, even when Joe Biden tries to talk tough, it comes across as weakness and gives our adversaries exactly what they want, which really gets to the even larger issue for me, Sean, which is this is the 20th or 30th time where we've seen the White House do exactly that. Whether we're talking about what Joe Biden knows about intelligence in Afghanistan, or what he knows about nuclear sub deals with Australia, or in this case, about Taiwan and China policy, it leaves everyone with the real honest question, who's making these policies? Because one thing's clear, that Joe Biden's foreign policies ultimately aren't being decided by Joe Biden. And that's dangerous, because our adversaries, not just China, but Russia and Iran, will make calculations or maybe miscalculations based on that lack of clarity. And those types of situations might long outlast Joe Biden as president.
Well, to your point, I wish I knew who was actually making those decisions, John. But listen, when I read the statement from China, my blood boils. I'm an American first. You're an American first. I want my American president to be successful. I disagree with Joe Biden on policy, but they're talking to America as a whole. But should we be surprised with Joe Biden? I think it was Robert Gates, the former Secretary of Defense, who said that Joe Biden has been wrong on every single foreign policy issue. And here again, he's blundering across the global stage, and I think we're losing credibility.
Well, we have lost credibility, and that's why you're seeing these things. What you're seeing is a more aggressive and more provocative China and Russia and Iran, and you're going to continue to see that because honestly, Sean, if you set out to make foreign policy mistakes over the last 7 or 8 months, starting from undoing the Remain in Mexico policy at our border, which created a crisis, to undoing the Abraham Accords in the Middle East and dealing with Iran that led to a crisis there, to giving Russia Nord Stream 2 pipeline to let them control energy into Eastern Europe, to all of these things related to China and Taiwan. I mean, you couldn't construct a more disastrous foreign policy than the one that we've witnessed for the first 10 months of the Biden administration. So, unfortunately, we've lost credibility. Our adversaries see this as an opportunity. They think we've got 3 years to accomplish what we want until there may be a return of strong leadership in the White House. And our allies question our commitment to them. And so, these are real dangerous foreign policy waters. We are literally adrift and rudderless, is what it appears that the Biden administration foreign policy, when I can't tell you what our policies are because I don't know who's making the decisions ultimately about those policies.
So, John, though, if you look at the world not respecting America, not respecting our president, is your point that it becomes a far more dangerous world in which we live because there's no, in essence, a cop on the beat because America is, in essence, absent?
Now, let me just give you a hypothetical with respect to Iran. So Iran had been dealing with a president who sanctioned them, who killed Soleimani, who took out al-Baghdadi, who crippled their regime with sanctions. Now they've got a president who has apologized to them, essentially. What's to prevent Iran from saying, you know what, let's just go to breakout on an Iranian nuclear weapon? I don't think the Biden administration is going to do anything, and we'll become a nuclear power, and no one will be able to do anything before it's too late. then we really will be dealing with problems long after Joe Biden is in the White House. Those are the types of things that happen when your foreign policy isn't clear, when your leadership isn't strong, when there's ambiguity, and when the White House is constantly walking back what the president said. We never had comments like that coming out of China when Donald Trump was president, because they knew he would sanction them, he would tariff them, he would take actions, he wouldn't stand for it. Red lines are going to continue to get crossed as long as we show weakness from the White House, and we're seeing weakness every single day in the first 10 months. You know, let's hope that it doesn't continue for the next 3 years, Sean.
No, and I think you're right. The Trump administration was clear, and they were strong, and they didn't take bullies, and they got respect for it. But I want to take a little different direction. So with the laptop that came out from Hunter Biden, there was information about maybe a deal between Hunter and Joe Biden, right? And we had Hunter Biden doing business in China. Could those business dealings be impacting Joe Biden's willingness to be tough on China? Because this is absolute 100% weakness. Is it because of this deal that his son was doing in China, in the communist country?
Well, of course, I have to be careful about classified information that I know that relates to Hunter and Joe Biden that has not yet been declassified. But, Sean, I've already publicly said when Hunter Biden's laptop appeared and Adam Schiff said it's part of a Russian disinformation campaign, I very clearly said that's not the case. The only intelligence that Adam Schiff gets is the intelligence that I give him as the director of national intelligence, and I didn't give him that because it's not a Russian disinformation campaign. And now, of course, that has proven to be the case, and the things that were on Hunter Biden's laptop are very much proving to be real and part of an ongoing FBI investigation. So, you know, how those things are impacting Joe Biden, you know, unfortunately, there's much that I can't comment on. What I can say is I've turned over 1,000 intelligence community documents to John Durham that relate to many of the things that predated Joe Biden becoming president.
You know, John, it makes you wonder if Joe Biden is compromised and whether he's looking out for his son instead of the American people and projecting at least strength in fighting back and pushing back against China. But thank you for joining me, and thank you for your insights, and thank you for your service, John Ratcliffe.
Good to see you. You look good in Larry's chair.
Thank you.